Hey everyone, this is Alex with Unicorn Riot. I'm here in Fort Collins, Colorado, at Library Park, which is outside the main branch of the Fort Collins Public Library. There are about 40 people here right now. The Food Not Bombs Fort Collins normally has a meal every Sunday from 1 to 3 at this location, and 2 weeks ago they were harassed and threatened by Fort Collins police officers and were forced to shut down that meal. Since then, they have not received any contact by the city or by park rangers. However, the city told them that they would give them a free permit. However, the Fort Collins Food Not Bombs group would have to bring a porta potty each Sunday. That is just one of the stipulations they gave the group for a supposed free permit. And so now we're going to talk with Lynn. She works with the Fort Collins Homeless Coalition, and she's going to talk a little bit about her work with them.
Coalition and stuff. Yeah, hi.
You ready?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So you can introduce yourself and say why you're here today.
Okay, sure. My name is Lynn Thompson. I'm with a member of the Fort Collins Homeless Coalition. So I'm here today to support the right of everyone in our community to share public spaces and to share a meal in this park today.
Can you talk a little bit about your weather right now?
I can try. Yeah, my lips are frozen. It's really cold. It's getting colder. I really liked it. We had music for a little while, and we were all just kind of dancing and keeping warm and sharing body heat, sharing food. And really, I mean, this is Colorado for you. You have days where it gets this cold, and the answer to those kinds of situations can't possibly be that what we need to do is shut down gatherings and warmth and opportunities to kind of come together as a community and talk about ways we could be doing better.
And can you talk a little bit about other ways the city of Fort Collins promotes support people?
Yeah, how much time do we have? Yeah, so the city of Fort Collins, like a lot of cities across the country, is dealing with a situation that it was created when we drastically slashed subsidized housing at the federal level. And so since 1979, we've been cutting funding to HUD. We've cut subsidies to affordable housing, and our stock of affordable housing has actually decreased since then, resulting in the kind of mass homelessness that people tend to take for granted now. So the ways that different cities have responded to that is really short-sighted. It's really punitive. And I'm not sure it's intended to be that way, but that's the impact of it. You have concerned neighbors, concerned people who call the cops or call their city representatives and say, I'm worried maybe, or I'm seeing too many people gather who are homeless, can you do something? And the easiest and most short-term and unfortunately really short-sighted solution that people see is to start passing these laws against sleeping, start passing laws against gathering in public places, sitting, lying down, sharing food. All of these are things that are criminalized in different ways by different cities all over the country. So right here in Fort Collins, we've got a camping ban. The city hands out hundreds of camping tickets every year to people who are just trying to catch some sleep. Even if you spend a night in a shelter, you have to get in there. Lights don't go out till about 11 o'clock at night. And then you're going to be out again at about 5:45 the next morning. Even if that were enough sleep for a human being, which it's not, in weather like this, you need extra. This is exhausting. This is exhausting weather to be out in for a day, overnight, it doesn't matter. So people need rest, and there just isn't anywhere to do that in a public space. We're standing outside the public library. If you fall asleep in the public library, they can ban you for 6 months. That means 6 months where you can't get in there to check your email. to apply for jobs, use all the services that people depend on the public library for, just for falling asleep. You can't sleep out here in the public park, you'll get a camping ticket. So where are people supposed to go? We need an answer that connects people with homes, and that really is a homes-based solution, not puts people in handcuffs, gives people camping tickets, and sends them to jail.
So the Fort Collins Homeless Coalition has been kind of organizing the rallies for food justice these past 2 weekends.
Yes.
Has there been any police presence during these 2 weekends?
Not last week and not so far this week. I think that there's a lot of support in our community for the idea that maybe we need to share food. I think last week's rally kind of helped demonstrate that. But I don't think it's enough. I think that it's not enough if the cops don't show up and then you're just waiting for the next time that they come back. We need to actually change our laws and change our policies and increase our transparency so that people understand that as community members it's our right to be here in a public place.
And can you talk a little bit about the offer that the city gave to Fort Collins Food Not Bombs?
Yeah, so my understanding is that what I saw quoted in the paper is that the city parks department said that maybe they'd issue a permit for free, but require that a group have a porta potty. A porta potty isn't free. So, I mean, the idea of free is just ridiculous in that context. It's also just not fair to groups if they don't understand what the requirement is. Why is one group required to provide a porta potty but not another? Why are we standing outside a library that has 2 public bathrooms on both floors? We're a block from the Oak Street public bathrooms. There are some public facilities in this area, but for some reason this group is being targeted with a porta potty requirement. That's really arbitrary. I just don't understand that. And I don't think that requirement was ever conveyed in any way that made sense, like it wasn't on the website. For people who apply for a permit, do they know that that's something they might be required? There's just so much confusion around this whole process, including evidently on the part of the police and the city, who just don't seem to know what's going on.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I think I might be too frozen, but I guess what I would add is this, which is that we're at a time right now when humanitarian aid is being criminalized all over the place, and we can see just so many different examples of it. So we have aid workers at the border facing felony charges for crimes of trying to make sure that people don't die. Like I don't know. Whatever the definition of a crime is, surely it's the opposite of trying to save a life and trying to share a meal. Those things seem to me to be the opposite of a crime, and if that's the kind of thing that we're prosecuting people for, we really need to take a step back and look at how we could do things differently.
Awesome. Thank you for talking.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm incoherent with
So we just heard from Lynn. She works with the Fort Collins, Colorado, Fort Collins Homeless Coalition. This right here, this building is the main branch of the Fort Collins Library, a public library, and Lynn just told us that if you are caught sleeping in this library, then you can be kicked out. So that just shows how cities around the country have been starting to criminalize certain activities that most happen in public spaces for poor people because they don't have a home to go rest in at night. And Lynn also described how even people who are able to go into a shelter, they still don't get enough sleep in the shelters because they get in at 10:45, that's when lights are off, and then they have to wake up at about 5 in the morning. It's super freezing right now. Lynn said how her lips were getting frozen, mine kind of are too, and it's starting to snow a little bit here in Fort Collins. This group of folks are here to have a free meal contributed by Food Not Bombs. And fortunately today, these folks have been able to do this without being harassed by police. 2 weeks ago, this group, like they always do, they set up their Sunday meal, and when they arrived here at Library Park, they were met by police and park rangers telling them that they needed a permit and telling them that they needed to shut down since they didn't have a permit, so they had to close down that meal that day. But for the past 2 weeks, this one and last weekend, so far at least today, the police have not shown their faces here. And similar to our Denver coverage of how the city has been effectively criminalizing people there for not having homes, here in Fort Collins, they also have a camping ban. And that's very similar all across the country. And I was told last week when I was here that this area of grass is one of the only main parks or main areas where folks can, rest or sit or eat food. So it was really upsetting to people when they were told that they weren't able to do that anymore, or they would potentially get a ticket or potentially be arrested. Recently, in August 2018, in Fort Lauderdale, there was a win in appellate court that where the judge said that a trial judge in that case should not have ruled that the First Amendment didn't apply, that this appellate judge didn't agree with the trial judge's official ruling about it. Sorry, the cold here, it's hard to think. It's very cold. And in that case, now it's going back to the trial court for that judge or another judge to rule on that. So there's already precedent for people who feel like they are being criminalized by their cities because of being in solidarity with poor folks, or from just being someone who happens to be poor. The criminalization measures continue to be brought to court because people don't want to have their rights taken away just because they don't have money. The group here said they're going to continue to meet here every Sunday until they are forced to shut down. So they're going to continue without a permit right now because they don't know how to go about bringing a porta potty here every week, and that would be the only way they would be able to get a permit through the city at this time. So for everyone who's watching, thanks. This is Alex with Unicorn Riot in Fort Collins, Colorado at the Food Not Bombs Food Justice Rally. This is the second one happening. The first one was last Sunday, and they're happening because 2 weeks ago the police and park rangers showed up and forcibly shut down the meal here, which is a free meal for folks, for anyone in the area who wants to eat free food. right here again is the public library where in Fort Collins, if you fall asleep in, you can get kicked out of the library. You can check our video from last week's rally and check out an article published earlier today at unicornriot.ninja. And if you appreciate our continued coverage of this issue and all the other issues that we cover, please consider going to our website and click on the donate tab at unicornriot.ninja. Thank you.